Hello, fellow hunters. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to be making two cemetery staples, creepy candles and spooky skulls. And we're going to combine those to make skull candles. It's going to be a really fun project. My daughter's going to help me out as well. And it's really fun for the whole family. We're going to do these skull candles for less than $3 in material. So really inexpensive, cheap, easy to do. So follow along. Let's get started. First step for the skull candle, we are going to make a mold or casting of a skull. You'll have to watch one of my other videos on how to make these. You can also buy a silicone mold of a skull for fairly cheap online, usually around $100 to $200 depending on the quality. This one cost me about $25 in materials to make. So I'll do a whole nother video on making a silicone mold for the skull. But pretty easy, nothing too crazy on making that. So I like to cast with Loctite. It's easy to get. Do not use any other type of foam. You want to use Loctite only. The great stuff just does not work as well with silicone, and it doesn't expand as well, and it's a lot messier. So for my Loctite foam, I spray it about a quarter of the mold. You want to make sure you get into the detail of the face. So I'll show you the face of the skull is here. You want to spray in there with the Loctite and fill that as much as possible. And then we're just going to cover it with cellophane saran wrap. Really easy. Doesn't stick to saran wrap, and which is one of the other reasons I use Loctite, because great stuff does. You want to shake it really thoroughly. For about 30 seconds. And then just try to get in the major crevices and the detail of the skull first. Like I said, you want to do about quarter, fill it up a quarter of the way full. Show you in the inside of it. You can see how much is in there. And that's enough, I think. Another trick for the Loctite cans, when you're using those, you don't have to use all the whole can, you can reuse it. You clean off the end and then seal it off with a strip of duct tape. And that can will last you at least 2 weeks. You can have it sitting on your shelf with just the duct tape on there and be able to reuse this. Just like that. Then we take our cellophane or saran wrap and just cover the opening and use rubber bands to seal it up. The one downside to this is that it does take several hours, up to at least 3 hours before you take the cellophane off, and then another 3 hours after that before you actually demold it. There we go. I'm just pounding it to seep into all the different cracks and crevices of the mold. And that's it. And then we'll let that sit for several hours and we'll come back. Okay, so for the candles, we're going to use a 2-inch PVC pipe, and we're just going to cut it on a miter saw. You could use a hacksaw or some other method. So you want to do this at a 15-degree angle. You can do varying angles for different candles, but for the one on the skull, we're going to do a 15-degree angle. And you could measure it out if you want, but basically it's approximately 3 to 4 inches in length. With PVC, you want to tighten it down really hard and make sure it's secure when you're using that. Once you have cut your PVC to the desired length, now we're going to kind of rough up the top part of this and make it look like a melting candle. You want to use this puts out a lot of particles, so you want to use your ventilator and eye protection with this. We're also going to use a heat gun on it, which is going to put out a lot of toxic fumes as well. I think that's pretty good. You kind of got your main drip at the lowest part here. Now we will shape it, heat it up, and shape it. Okay, so you can see that we formed some ridges along the edges, and that'll make it easier to catch the hot glue drips and make it look like a melting candle. So now we're going to go ahead and paint these with white gloss and let them sit out. And once they're dry, then we should be demolding the skull. Okay, we've demolded the skull, the casting of the skull, and here it is. That Loctite actually picks up a lot of the detail. So even though there are some flaws, but you know what? It's an old, decaying skull, so it's okay. So we're gonna go ahead and prepare and do a black wash on this. First thing I usually do with my skulls is just a little bit of spray paint in the eye sockets and the underneath for like where the shadows are. Again, that's just for the deep shadows. That's all I'll do with those spray paint, and then everything else will come out in the black wash. My black wash is, well, pretty inexpensive. I use, let's see, I'll show you. Acrylic paint, black, and I do just $1 from the dollar store, right? So I put the whole thing in there, fill the rest with water. And just a little bit of dish soap, a couple drops. I'm not gonna spray it on, it's just a little messy. So I'm just putting in this container and I'll just brush it on. Just getting a bunch of this black wash everywhere. And then we just start patting it down. Trying to make it look grungy. That looks pretty good. Okay, our skull has dried. After we're doing the antiquing black wash, Now we need to glue on the candle drips and attach the PVC to the skull. So we're just going to eyeball this, and I've got my helper here today. Lean in and say hi.
Hi.
This is Ava. You gotta lean in more than that.
I don't wanna.
I ended up having to voice over this clip. Neighbors came over, dogs are barking. My wife was leaving to go to work, so it was just a hectic day. Anyway, so we were just gluing on the candle now to the skull. You want to make sure that you use an upward motion. Start your drips on the bottom and pull them up on the candle to the top, just because the hot glue gun will make these kind of spider webs, danglies, that are difficult to control at the end of your line. So start at the bottom, go to the top, and just vary the lengths of the drips, and be creative with it. There's nothing special to this. It does take a little bit of time, but and you can take as much or little time as you want. I'm opting for some larger drips on this skull. If you see the other skull in the view, I did a lot of smaller drips down the skull. I wanted to do larger ones on this one. And so you just kind of repeat this process. Just line after line, varying lengths. That's my daughter that's helping me out with the candle there as well. She's camera shy. Okay, once we are done with that, we will just use the heat gun to kind of blend all of the glue together. Just do it on low heat. And plug it in first. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. We are ready to do a brown wash after this, and then we will be almost finished. Okay, so we put together kind of a dark brown wash here. I'm going to test it on the candle here a little bit. It looks okay. I have to water it down a bit because it is pretty dark. We'll see how it looks. See how it works on the skull. So, same thing with the antiquing and black wash. I'm just putting it in this little bucket here, and we will mix that around and just paint it on. Okay. Let that sit and dry up a bit, and then we are almost finished. Okay, one last step. Because the candles are so tall, we are going to put a little stopper in there for the tea light candles. I'm just using a scrap piece of pool noodle. You get these at the dollar store too. Just a small little sliver of cut. Exacto knife. Doesn't have to be perfect, but this diameter actually fits very well inside the 2-inch diameter PVC pipe. After I do that, I dust it with a little bit of spray paint. It isn't perfect, but there it is. And we take your candle, push this down into the desired depth. As you can see, it just fits perfectly in there. Take into consideration this is the actual candle wick is a little bit higher than where you're placing it. And then just secure it on the back side with a glob of glue just in the corners where it meets the polyethylene foam. Just give it a little shelf to rest on. No, that's good. That's all you need. There it is. And here is the final product. Your spooky candles and creepy skull candle for less than $3. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like this channel. We are making cool props and haunts all the time. So if you want to get notifications, please subscribe as well. And thank you for watching. Happy haunting.